Today is an important day for many respects. Important not only from the fact that one of the smallest communities in the country, in the Phillips community, is having one of the largest investment. $2.4 million being invested in your community. Put your hands together for that. This is significant in terms of a small community and in terms of capital projects that will take place. And for all who will have jobs here at this particular facility, we congratulate you. And so you will have a direct impact from the result of this activity. Mr. Petty spoke about the role of the Explorers Group as a transformative force in the national life. And we must ask ourselves, what is the purpose of this transformation? For it can't be that we are just transforming any entity, any individual, anything, just for transformation's sake. Why do we want transformation? Transformation towards what end? And it seems to be that we want to transform and attract young people to make them more ready, better prepared to contribute to national life and more particularly to build our nation. So the transformation and the value of it must be that we transform the nation for the better. And the Explorers Group and the TAPS Group and all the other entities which we form, including those in the church, are intended to help the country to produce a better quality of person that can contribute to national life. A better quality of person is a person prepared mentally and otherwise to engage in simple acts of kindness, of showing sympathy, of showing their own humanity, of giving respect and respecting those traditions that have helped to keep our community together. And one of the themes that came out of Mr. Petty's presentation is that we want to have the communities coming together, bringing people together. So that is an important aspect of the effort of nation building. And the government's task in this really is to create that conducive environment which facilitates the progressive transformation of our country. How does a government do this? Governments all over the world do this through legislation that set norms and standards of appropriate behavior and engagement. They do this like what we are about to do today through groundbreaking ceremonies and investment in the capital infrastructure that provide a home for us, for our children, and all who are interested to become engaged in constructive activity. We are trying as a country, small country, the smallest country in the Western Hemisphere, to become the best example of a well-managed small island state. That is why it's important when Petty speaks to the Explorers idea and the Explorers as a unit being showcased to the OECS Commission as a best practice, it falls well within the plans and the objectives of the Team Unity Administration to leave a legacy of St. Kitts and Nevis as the best example of a well-managed small island state. This is critically important. And I want all of you to join us. law enforcement officers are duty-bound to let us become the example of the well-managed state. Because critically to the construct of transformation, critical to the task of nation building, must be that there is an environment that facilitates people. An environment that allows the young boy to go to school. An environment that allows the senior citizen to go to the health center. An environment that allows for the ambulance to pass to and fro. In other words, nothing happens in any society in the absence of peace and in the absence of law and order. No transformation then will come. None will come unless law and order is upheld. And that is why those who understand concept of development say the most important role of a government is to maintain peace, maintain law and order. It is the most fundamental job of the government, because the government does it in the context of a constitutional frame. And it is the only legitimate authority that can preserve law and order. Absence, law and order, there is nothing. Whether we are 7 days, like Pastor Myron Percival, or we are Methodists like the Cabinet Secretary, or you are like I, who go to all the churches. Absence of peace, there is no opportunity for us to engage in a constructive way. It is then that environment of peace. And look at what we call a failed state. A failed state is a state that simply cannot preserve the power and the authority of government to function. A failed state will be a state like Haiti, where it appears that everywhere somebody else in charge instead of the fulcrum of authority coming from a legitimacy of the government. A failed state will be like somewhere in Africa or in some part of Nigeria, where you have those insurrectionists controlling a particular domain and the state power cannot get in there. A failed state will be representative of somebody holding somebody hostage, and the legitimate authority, which is always a statal power, cannot interfere or intercede. And we have to work hard to prevent our country and our region from ever coming close to a failed state. So we have to preserve law and order, preserve the social networks, preserve the importance of freedom, and enlarge them in our society. So we have the wherewithal. Those children who want to become drummers and play drum well, they must come, and they must be free to come, and they must be free to engage. But they must be able to go everywhere as is expected of talented people and showcase their talents in the school, at the playfield, in Kayard, in Bastia, in Old Road, spread joy everywhere. And we could only do that when we have peace. And so I ask the country, how far are we prepared to go to get peace? Fundamental question must be answered. How far are we prepared to get peace and to preserve it? Answering for myself, we will go all the way. There is no solution and there is no option that we will take off the table in the pursuance and maintenance of peace and freedom in St. Kitts and Nevis. That is what we are committed to do. So when people see us engaging in some activities, you must ask, well, you either want peace or you want war. And peace is always, our peace is Peace is always to be preferred to war. And within the context of the resources of the state, we have been and are doing all that we can to maintain peace and safety. And that is why, for all one may say about St. Kitts and Nevis, still a peaceful place to be, to go, to live, to invest. I heard that being expressed all of this week as over 400 participants from China, from Dubai, from Canada, went around the length and breadth of St. Kitts and Nevis. They marvel at the physical infrastructure that as a small state we seem to be doing so much. They said that they were impressed to know where the money is going because they see the roads being fixed. I want to give Minister Liebert a round of applause. These are some of the views of people with no attachment and no biases. But they are able to come into a country and feel whether it is a country coming or a country going. And St. Kitts and Nevis, in their view, is a country that is going forward, and we want to keep that. That is why we are investing in CCTV programs to assist the police in improvement in their investigation, to assist in getting better evidence to take to the courts, so those who do wrong and transgress their laws can be dealt with in keeping with our laws. That is why we have invested in our defense force. I don't know if you have started your batch of training, Colonel Comrie. You have? Shortly. So there are opportunities for young people in Phillips and Molyneux who want to make a contribution to nation building to come engage in our defense force and in our police force and in customs and excise. But defense and police right now have vacancies. So if there are young persons of 18, is it 18, Mr. Brandy, and upwards, with interest in law enforcement, we welcome you. The truth is, in our security forces, we need many skills. We need, for example, mechanics. We need good drivers. We need photographers like Willett. Anything that you could think of, there is room for you in security forces. Sometimes we only see the man with the gun going to catch a criminal, but there is more to it than that. We want people with skills in technology to deal with our computer systems, to monitor the success of our CCTV program. And we need people with good people skills who could serve as intelligence officer. You could get information to assist in law and order delivery. When we invest in the RSS, we are doing so to preserve peace, because we go back to the fundamental mission of the state, which we have to contextualize and understand. Why is it we are investing? Why is it a Ministry of National Security gets into the club formation, be they TAPS or explorers? Why is it? Because as the environment evolves, certain trusts, certain interventions could no longer perhaps be properly be dealt with through the customary channels and need to be particularized. So normally community development should be about club formation. But if you want a specialized emphasis in that, then you have to bring it to a more relevant line, and in this case, national security has undertaken that. And it is costing us quite a lot. The very fact that we come here to talk about investing $2.5 million is significant. And you add the operational costs that are involved now and will become necessary as we move forward. And that is why, too, we continue to work with anybody and everybody who is interested in peace in the land. And if you were associated with the GAG, and you are interested in peace, we will work with you for peace. We will work with any entity interested in pursuing peace, because peace is fundamental to preserving who we are as a people. So we are willing to do that. You have difficulties in your family and you want counseling. We are prepared to provide that support. And we have before Cabinet a proposal that would help us to provide a wider array of counseling support, particularly to homes that have been affected by violence. I want to say in that context, this talk, this nonsense talk, this hogwash talk about paying gangs is not a reality. But what we do say, that for every member of a gang, known or unknown, interested in an alternative lifestyle, we are prepared to work with you as a citizen to bring good and betterment, put you in a better position to assist your family, put you in a position to become an upholder of law. That must be a fundamental construct which people can understand. And you ask some of these people with the hypocrisy, well, what do you prefer, people to go about shooting up and down? Do you prefer that, or you prefer the fundamental issue of peace? Peace is better than war. We will prefer that no one get killed. No one get killed than to spend some money in a forensic lab to determine who was the person who would have killed. Either way, we have to invest in peace. And we want to do it in the most economical way. When we buy that police pickup, it's an investment in peace. You have to understand it. It is nothing else. We're not doing it just for the fun of it. We are not doing it for the police officer to go visit girlfriend and boyfriend. We are doing it as an investment in the peace of the country. That is what we are doing. When we spend 2 million in forensic, it's because we want a better detection rate so that those who are doing the crime will pay the tithe. When we spend money, as we have done in all the other areas, millions in Sandy Point, it is an investment in the peace. When we bring special artillery for the police, it is an investment in peace. When we introduce a new unit of young women and young men, and we call them, what you call them, Mr. Brandy? Tourism police. And they go to Port Zante, and they go to the square, and they go to Brimstone Hill, and they go to Black Rock. They are there to preserve the peace and to promote the beauty and all that they know that is good about St. Kitts and Nevis. So for the record, I am not going to be shy about talking about what the government is doing for peace, because I am clear in my mind that every law-abiding citizen knows too many lives have been lost. Too many lives have been lost, and too many lives of young people. And whatever we can do, while Pastor Myron will pray, and Pastor Cumberbatch will pray, and we need a lot of praying everywhere. And I myself do pray up to this morning. So while all of us are praying for the peace, there have to be work that is being done. There has to be outreach. And I know everywhere there are people reaching out to some of these persons who have been involved in gang life, say make a change. Because either you will die, or your child will die, or your innocent mother will die. And we have had too much of that already to last a lifetime. I am reminiscing, and perhaps I shouldn't, but I still am, to the good days of growing up, when if you hear one killing, that was enough for a year. If you reach 2, And we three, somebody say, "Oh, you're crazy." Out the Caribbean, in Barbados, in Trinidad, in Jamaica, violence have become a part. That is why the investments we are doing now that build the confidence of young people, that help them to change, are worthy investment. That is why these initiatives for peace, for civility, for respect in the society are critically important as we try to find a way. Because if the answer was simple, we would not have had 35 homicides in 2011. If the answer was not complex, we will not be having the conversation up to today. That is why we can leave no solutions, because clearly all that we have tried, they haven't brought us down to zero on a sustained basis. So in closing, I welcome this initiative as part of the broad agenda of transforming lives for nation building, making the work of the parents easy and easier. But parents cannot be distracted, because parents are still charged with the responsibility to bring up children in the way that they should go, so that when they become older, they would not depart. And we are hoping that through the discipline that is being inculcated through Explorers Group, through TAPS, and through our churches, which are important, that we build strong Sunday schools that help Stanley Franks to become a better person, that help former Premier Vance Henry to become a better person, that help Lieutenant Colonel Comrie, although he didn't go to Sunday school as often as I did, to become a better person. These clubs have all over the past helped people become better. So I want to say thank you again for the efforts of all in this endeavor, acknowledge the private sector as an important partner, and acknowledge every citizen for taking ownership, for doing something for peace. And again, I want to thank the private sector, because we need you. We need you to take a couple people when they have come out of jail and they are committed to reform, to assist them to get there, so that they are not left closed out at the outside of socioeconomic life, with little to dream about, with a reason to get up at 7 tomorrow for. That is what we are trying to do at this time, in the name of peace and nation building. May God bless the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, and may this beautiful country remains beautiful not only externally, but inside, from the quality of life, the compassionate heart, and the hope within every boy and girl, and every man and every woman. God bless us all. Thank you.